It sounds messed up, but if I were an ass then I would have bailed on him and his mom. 8 heart-wrenching confessions from internet strangers who just want to be heard. My son died this morning and I feel free for the first time in years. My son was diagnosed with crab disease when he was a few months old. Unfortunately, they don't do prenatal screening for crab disease. His mom probably wouldn't have carried the pregnancy if she'd known. It was like taking care of adult 24/7 for the last 7 years. Now that he's gone, I feel relieved. He's in a better place if it exists, and his mom and I can go out separate ways in life. I can go to a movie or a bookstore with no worry about my son or his needs. It sounds messed up, but if I were an ass then I would have bailed on him and his mom. It'll be weird with his mom because we've been enmeshed in each other's lives and now there's no reason to communicate. After our son was born and saw what having a disabled child does to relationships, we split while our relationship was still good. We worked very well together because we were both overachievers. There's no hard feelings. We were like co-workers. Somebody replied, "This is completely normal. I took care of my grandmother with Alzheimer's for 10 years and you mourn the loss of every version of them over years and years. I mourned my independent grandma. I mourned the slightly confused woman as she gradually lost memories of her life. I mourned the highly dependent person who had reverted to childhood, and I mourned the non-verbal, bed-bound person who still loved chocolate and smiles. Then when the end came, I found myself happy she wasn't suffering anymore and it was easy to reach acceptance. It was difficult to comfort family who hadn't been there and for whom the loss hit suddenly and very hard. I'm sure some think of me as callous or cold, but I'd already done my grieving. I found my husband's old journal. Yesterday, I decided to go through some old boxes my husband and I stored when we first moved into our home back in 2017. I wasn't really planning on finding anything, but I had a free afternoon and decided, hey, why not go through old boxes? However, when I was going through this one box labeled L's stuff, I won't use my husband's real name so we will call him L, I noticed a plain green journal in the box. It had no words on it, no labels, it was just a green hard-covered journal. My husband always writes in his journals, so I wasn't surprised to find one in the box. Anyway, I was curious, and opened it up to the first page. To my surprise, it was a journal. The first ever date written in it was in 2014 when Elle and I were still in high school. On the first page was a love letter for me. Elle had written a bunch of letters and poems about me that I had never knew about. I don't want to expose too much, but one of the lines read, "I hate seeing her with Kyle. He takes her away from me, and we're not as close as we used to be." I was honestly shocked. My husband was so in love with me. He wrote about me a bunch in his journal, but he also wrote about lots of other private stuff. I skipped those pages though. I found one page with a sketch of a naked woman, which I'm assuming is me based off of the features and the hair. I think it's so cute and fascinating. I hope my husband doesn't find this post, since I don't plan on telling him about my discovery. Me and him are always close and open with each other, but I think it's best for him to believe that he kept that all to himself. My most embarrassing moment in teaching. This was the first day back after Christmas break. I teach 9th grade history in a rural public high school. I always dress up a little bit extra on the first day back, so I was in a cute mustard yellow pencil skirt and a white blouse. My last period class is 18 boys and 4 girls, so they can be difficult and definitely have some edge to them. I walk in and spend about the first part of class at the board reviewing what we did before break. The class is dead quiet, which is strange, but I went with it. After about 5 minutes, one of the boys raises his hands and says, "Mrs. D, we can see your underwear." I reply, "We all wear underwear, Quinn." I think he's referring to seeing my white bra through my white top. But no one laughs and I notice most of their eyes are looking at my skirt. Then I reach around behind my back. The clasp in back had broken. And the zipper had slipped down probably 4 to 5, meaning that for the past 5 minutes I had been showing my thong to the entire class. I turn bright red, zip up, and get right back to teaching. There's never a boring day. I don't like my mother. My cousins assaulted and abused me for years because we had to live with them for a while. I grew up and eventually told my mom about it. She did nothing. She continued to make me go with them for visits because they are still family. They did absolutely nothing for me. Turns out my male cousin assaulted my sister as well. All hell broke loose for her. I don't hate my sister, this isn't about her. I am happy she got the semi-justice I didn't get. I hate my mother. Because if she would have taken me seriously and done this beforehand for me, my sister would have never been touched by him. My abuse went on for years and still continued on those visits she made me go to. She knew that it was happening to me. She didn't care. But my sister confessed to me and we went to mother, and then the investigation started for him. All he got was a few months on parole and nothing else. The judge's words: he has a basketball scholarship, he is a good kid overall, I don't want his future to be hurt. Stuff that. And go away, Mom. My sister should have been protected. I blame you. My dad said congratulations after I was assaulted. This happened in March, and I honestly forgot about his words for a while because I had to deal with my graduation. Also, apparently that's how your brain deals with trauma, but recently it's been really bothering me and I am always so annoyed around my family. The story is simple. I don't feel like going into details, but basically I got assaulted by a new friend I trusted. I went to his place, not for the first time, by my own will. Smoked weed, and that's when it happened. I immediately told my family, but they all blamed me and they were very angry at me. My sister screamed at me and called me selfish. The only support I got is my mom picking me up and bringing me home from the police station. She bought me apple juice, then she kept asking me how am I going to graduate like this. My parents are divorced, so I told my dad separately, and congratulations is the first thing he tells me. Ironically, of course, mocking me. I am disgusted of him for this. Then he proceeds to tell me how I am a stupid tramp. Honestly, I am not a great daughter because I have acting out by drinking, smoking and partying, but I don't think I deserve this. Nobody does. We haven't talked about the whole thing since that day, and I realized I built up an insane amount of anger and hate toward my parents. Anytime they want to have a conversation with me, I just want to cry and ask them why they treated me like this. I never had a healthy relationship with neither of my parents. It makes me really sad, since this time I trusted them and told them. It happened before about a year ago with a different guy, but I was too scared to tell the truth. Now I tried to speak up and they shut me down. I am a pretty social person, I have an okay amount of friends and a decent dating life, but I feel helpless, confused and really alone in this situation. I pretend that I am over it when actually I think about it every day. I don't want to complain about it to my friends. I fear that they're tired of me because something is always happening. I am getting therapy, but it hasn't helped a lot. I have had depression and anxiety for years. It was actually so much better this year. I can't take meds because of other physical issues though. I haven't spoken to my parents in 5 years because my daughters are black. This really saddens me, but I'm moving on with my life. I'm a 24-year-old single father, and have 2 beautiful twin daughters that are 6 years old. I had a one-night stand years ago, which resulted in the girl getting pregnant. My family wasn't necessarily supportive of any of this, because the girl was black. The girl went through with the pregnancy, but she made it clear that the children will be put into adoption because she didn't want to keep them. When I found out I was going to be a father to 2 twin daughters, that's when I knew I wanted to be a father. Decided I wanted to raise my daughters, which angered my parents so much. Contact and support from them started to go even lower when they saw that my daughters came out black. They weren't by my side at all when I was trying to get full custody of my girls. They refused to be part of any of it. It took a while, but eventually I did get full custody, and these past 6 years with my girls have been the best years of my entire life. My parents? Well, they're absolutely disgusted. You should have seen the look on my dad's face when he saw my daughters, just pure disgust. My mom didn't help at all, she refused to even look at them. My sister isn't like my parents, she loves my daughters so much, which is incredible. I haven't spoken to my parents in 5 years, and this just saddens me. My daughters are sweet, kind and amazing girls, but my parents were very vocal that they don't welcome them, even though they're my children. The last time I spoke to them, they admitted to having a big issue with their skin color and wanted me to put them up for adoption. That's absolutely ridiculous, and the fact they had the nerve to tell me this is unbelievable. I completely lost my cool, but of course I ended being the bad guy in this situation. Typical, doesn't surprise me. I chose my daughters instead, didn't hesitate one bit when choosing, and my parents cut contact with me. I don't get invited to birthdays, Christmas gatherings, family gatherings, they don't speak to me anymore. I'm not always alone, my sister is married, so I always spend the holidays with them, which is absolutely amazing. As for my daughters, oh boy, what a journey it's been. They're my princesses, and I'll admit I'm so overprotective. I'm absolutely in love with my girls, they're beautiful angels, and I'm blessed to have them in my life. It's been tough, I can definitely say that, especially when you're 24 and trying to finish up the last couple months of college. I do get help though. From my friends, sister and her husband. And I'm learning every day. One example being that my daughters have big hair, like an afro, so I'm currently in the process of learning how to braid their hair and style it up to have them looking awesome. I want them to embrace their natural hair, it really looks beautiful. Being a father has made me a better person, I can't imagine a life without my girls. If my parents continue to have an issue with my daughters, well then looks like I'm never speaking to them again. I've attempted to contact them, but I either get no reply or I'm simply blocked. I'm a father now, I have more important things to do. My daughters are my priority, my life and love, and I'm not going to waste time trying to get back with my family. It does sadden me, but if this is how things are gonna be, well then that's how it's going to be. I'm incredibly happy with my life, I have my daughters, I can financially support them, we have food and a roof over our heads, and that's all I can ever need. I'm definitely saddened by the fact my parents won't talk to me, but I'm not going to stick to that anymore. I'm going to move on with my life with my own family, and I'm incredibly excited to see the journey of life I'm going to have with my daughters. I think I'm developing a mental illness because of my small breasts. I, as a 24-year-old woman, out of practically nowhere, started feeling very depressed about my cup size. It's gotten to the point where it's almost all I think about, and I constantly look at pictures of other women with big breasts and watch men online worship them. I know it's not healthy, but I feel a need to punish myself for my body failing me. In other regards, my life is good. I only weigh 115 pounds, I have a decent face, but naturally brown curly hair, which I also feel insecure about because of my experiences being passed up for girls with long blonde straight hair. I have a decent job, my own apartment, 35k saved up, and a boyfriend who says I'm perfect to him. Even though in the beginning he had an emotional affair with a girl with blonde hair and bigger breasts than me. But I still feel a loathing for myself. I feel like I don't deserve to be loved by anyone, even friends or family, because I have small breasts. I am struggling with motivation to finish my degree, because I feel like there's no point in putting effort into my life anymore if I don't have big breasts. I have contemplated ending myself, and there are some days I just lay in bed all day with no motivation to eat, clean, or do anything because I feel like life is not worth living with my small breasts. I know this isn't normal, but I can't shake the feelings off. I also have been obsessively eating healthy and exercising twice a day because I feel like being skinny is all I have going for me. I feel guilty whenever I eat something indulgent or junky. My boyfriend knows I'm struggling with this and he feels bad, but I never believe anything he says. I feel so disconnected from him sometimes, even though I do love him. He comes onto me for intimacy and makes a point of showing how he enjoys my breasts. I have even told him he should date other women so he doesn't feel deprived of big breasts, but he refuses and says I only want you. But I always think about that girl he fell in love with the first few months we were dating, and how much prettier she was than me. My first boyfriend 7 years ago also left me for a girl with long blonde straight hair. I feel like these experiences have permanently humbled me, and I'll always feel inferior to women with blonde hair and big breasts. It doesn't help that my younger sister is a blonde with big breasts, and men literally have always gone absolutely crazy about her. She looks like a real woman, women that men actually fantasize about, and I look like a teenage girl waiting in line at your local DMV that you wouldn't look twice at. I know this is a long stupid pity party, but I just don't know how to overcome this. I've deleted Instagram and I try to stay off Reddit. But I still come across pictures of these women and compare myself to them. I'm struggling to find the confidence to continue with my life with my body. I feel like I'm doing everyone a disservice, especially for my boyfriend, by continuing to live with my small breasts. Also, I don't feel this way about other women with small breasts. I actually find them very beautiful and worthy of love, just not myself. My wife died today and I'm not sure how to process it. We were at the lake this weekend after rock climbing and I was drinking. I said a couple weeks ago that I would stop drinking after a night of being too drunk. Well, that ended up being no more than 2 at a time and she wanted wine. We gave ourselves a pass yesterday for the get-together to drink more and hang with family and was drinking and swimming last night. We had been edgy with each other yesterday due to me not taking her anxiety seriously. I got drunk with my cousin and I believe she had stopped drinking. She ended up wanting to go home because I was too drunk and there were a lot of people and I had forgotten tent stakes too, so she drove my truck while I was passed out in the passenger seat. I woke up to us having had a wreck and flipped at least once, though they said it looked like several times. She died on the scene and I'm left with just scratches, scrapes and a slightly injured foot. I blame myself, and I was having to be followed around the scene by cops because of how bad I was freaking out and punching the fence and trying to get to her. I've had a day where I've been crying hysterically, staring at the ceiling, and trying to wonder why I'm fine and that happened to her. We had our humps but we always made it up and grew stronger. I feel bad for the husband I was at times. And no words can explain how confused I am. I love you more than the world, Monica. Somebody replied, I'm sorry for your loss. But you shouldn't blame yourself for this. It was an accident and is in no way your fault. I can't possibly know what you're going through right now, but some tips to help you keep your head up: don't isolate, talk to your friends and family, reach out to people, and even consider getting a therapist to talk you through this tragedy.